Yep. All right. Well, thanks for having us. It means a lot to us that we're able to share our story with you. I understand that there are quite a few parents there as well. We're not doctors by any stretch of the imagination. We're just parents that have gone through um, a TAPS pregnancy and now have beautiful twin boys, 8 years old, almost nine. And to complete the story, we also have twin girls who are now almost 14. Um, and we need to thank one of the gynecologists on this panel here for that. When we look at the effects of TAPS on our children, Daan and Max were born with 30 weeks pregnancy. And during a regular scan, they decided for a emergency C-section. And we started what I call phase one, shock and awe. Most of the parents will probably recognize that, yeah, for us, it was a huge experience to come into this NICU environment and yeah, have everything dealing with the kids. And yeah, and both the boys were very sick. Max was born with a birth weight of just over 800 grams and Daniel was born with 1.5 kilos. And both in, yeah, not so happy conditions. And I think, well, the biggest part of that is that they had a very, very rough start with all the complications of very early childhood, childbirth associated with that. But I really would like to focus a bit more on the years after that. We did do a hearing test in those first few weeks. However, during that test, nothing spectacular was discovered, so we didn't pay a lot of attention to it afterwards. The second phase, the first years were still very much characterized by taking care of the boys that were still very vulnerable for RS viruses, pneumonia, with quite regular trips to hospital. And often when they needed to go into hospital, their saturations were so low that it immediately meant that we needed to stay for 4 or 5 nights and to get them on antibiotics. The development of the boys was in some form parallel, but the growth of Daan was much faster than for Max. Max was the donor in this case, and he stayed well beyond or below all the growth lines and all the charts that are normally applied, even when corrected for early childbirth. We moved abroad when the boys were 1.5, and we spent 5 years in Switzerland. And also there, we had our fair share of visits to the hospitals. But as they grew bigger and bigger, up to the moment they went to school, luckily that became less and less. However, for Max, we found out that he could not speak, and it took us a very, very long time to find out that in the end he had a serious hearing impairment. And this was only discovered close to the age of 4. Being abroad in a different hospital system didn't help, and then trying to find your way in your new surroundings was also quite a challenge. But after that, it took us a few more months before Max received his hearing aids. And by that time, he started learning in roughly 3 months. Yeah. Then moving on to phase 3, when school starts, we wanted to start them both in the regular school. But Max pretty much from the start had difficulties in catching on, had issues with his focus, his capacity for sitting still was a thing, still is a thing. And after a few months in regular kindergarten, we decided that he needed to go to a special school for hearing impaired children with much smaller classes. And in the end, that was a very good choice. Although as a parent, you're always dreading this moment. But once the decision was taken, once we saw how happy Max was in his new environment, it was the best decision we could have taken. And then he started developing much better. After 5 years in Switzerland, we moved back to the Netherlands. The boys were at that time around 6. And we decided to see if we could get Max also in a speciaal onderwijs, special care school. And this time, the school for hearing impaired was, let's say, not, ideal due to distance, geography, and the, some other factors. And he went to a regular special school where kids with other disabilities were also there. Daan is developing now much more according to the, let's say, his own curve. With regards to growth, he is now very much on in the middle of the standard curve. However, Max is still way beyond that, but he's following his own curve. He is developing, he is growing, he is very happy. And he is, generally speaking, a very happy and good kid. What we are experiencing now, and for us it's very hard, is this now TOPS or is this the effect of early childbirth, prematurity, is for us, during the Corona times, we found out that actually both boys have really issue in keeping their focus, in the way they learn. And this is now very much part of, let's say, our daily life, to see, okay, what works for them and what doesn't work for them. Where for Max, this is less of a pregnant issue in the sense that he is already in a private school with a very small class and a very tailored program. For Daan, he is in regular education, and he needs to get on in a class of 30 kids. We're now going through all the motions of trying to find out where the issues are. But for us, we do see a strong difficulty in having focus, motivation, complaints of stomachache, headaches, etc., making it more and more hard to focus in school. And he seems to have a very high sensitivity for all kinds of influences, whether it's large, hard noises, tactile input, or all those things. So we're now waiting for an ADD type of screening to see if that might be part of it. But this is very much a journey that we're still on. And this for us only came, for us to light when during Corona, we had prolonged time with the kids at home, and we were able to see how they are learning. And so it was a bit of a blessing in disguise, because homeschooling with 4 kids at home is no blessing at all. But it did help us a lot to gain insights in where the issues are. But as said, it is for us still very much a journey that we're on, that both apply to Daan and Max. because we see the same in mugs at the moment. Just conscious of time, I've used up my 10 minutes. I don't know if there's any questions for us.